Hey guys, I'm going to show you guys how to deploy the BRTM Metric Collector. This is the deployment architecture view. As you guys can see, we have various pieces involved. We have the application server, right, serving the pages. Then, ideally, if you have an APM agent, it's probably sending metrics to the APM server. Once the application Once the user requests a page and we have our APM BRTM agent in there, metrics collector from that JavaScript are going to be sent to the BRTM Metric Collector, which is right now is a Node.js server. This in turn is going to send metrics to the EPA agent, which is going to forward them to the APM server collector. And it's also going to send metrics to the analytics platform, which right now we're using Elasticsearch. And then we're going to use the Kibana as the analytics UI to view our metrics. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we'll need to do is we'll need to make sure that we get our EMs up and running. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the EM. I'm also going to bring up, so the application that we're going to use for the demo, for this demo, is going to be Ticket Exchange. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to bring up Ticket Exchange. So I'm bringing the web tier and the server tier. Okay. So I'm also going to bring up WebView because we'll need that. Okay, good. So I have, while these guys are loading up, I'll show you guys how easy it is to install and run Elasticsearch. I'm not going to walk through the entire process, but it's pretty simple. All you do is download. I actually have a website here. So Elasticsearch download, right? Just go there. You download. I downloaded the tar GC, right, for Elasticsearch and for Kibana. You expand those, and then you simply just go, first start with Elasticsearch. So once you extracted those, we'll go to Elasticsearch. Okay, and then we just simply run /bin and then Elasticsearch, and then the -d is to run in the background. So we'll do that. We'll make it run in the background. Actually, you know what? I won't, so we can see the output. So we're just going to hit and launch it. There's no configuration. There's nothing. This is just all we're doing is just untarring the file and just running the Elasticsearch command. To verify that this is working, I'm going to go ahead and go to port 8200. So we're going to go localhost. Port 8200. And I'm getting feedback that my node is up and running. Okay, cluster name, out of the box, Elasticsearch, and so on and so forth. Okay, good. So we got Elasticsearch, the engine running. So let's go ahead and run the Kibana. So again, Kibana. So I downloaded the tar, untar it. So cd into the Kibana directory that got created, and then from here I just simply say again the bin Kibana and run. All right, so I will stop running. So we'll go ahead and see if we can connect to it. So again, it's localhost port 5601, the default port. Again, no configuration whatsoever, guys. Straightforward. So it's connected in there. So obviously there's nothing there, but it's talking to the Elasticsearch engine. Good. So now if we go back to this piece, so we got the application server. This is our Ticket Exchange. We got this guy up and running. We launched the APM and the web view. we launched the analytics platform and its UI, and now we need to launch EPA agent. So I have done EPA agent. The only thing you need to do for the EPA agent is you need to make sure that you uncomment, okay, the network data port. That's all we're going to do. Again, just straight out of the box, you're going to install your EPA agent. You're not going to set any stateful or stateless plugins. All you got to do is just uncomment the network data port, which I believe is 9000 by default. Save this and we're done. Well, actually, the other thing that you need to do is obviously make a point to your collector, right? To your EM. Okay. So now I've done that, so I'm going to go ahead and run it. I have I wrote my own script. So, but you can use obviously the bin. So we'll run this. All right. So now we have our EPA ticket exchange, and so let's see if these guys have connected to the APM server. So we'll go ahead and launch review here. Host. Mediated. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and launch review. Investigator, and then I'll see I have, so I have my Tomcat, okay, I have my ticket exchange service and my ticket exchange web tiers. Okay, these two guys, this is the Tomcat setup. And then under my Mac, I have my EPA agent, the one that just launched. Again, nothing in it, but it's connected. Okay, good. So at this point, I think we're ready. We have all the pieces set up. The only piece now that we need to do is the BRTM Metric Collector. Okay. In order to install this guy again is a Node.js server. So what we're going to do, you're going to go to my GitHub. Let me see how to do this. Yeah, so there's my GitHub, right? So there's my user ID. Okay, once you go there, you should be able to see all my repositories. Okay, and I have a bunch of other extensions that we'll make use of. Actually, let's talk about them now. In order for us to obtain the user ID and the session ID, which I do from BRTM Metrics, I'll show you the extension that I have. So if you go to the Interscope agent, I'm running 10.1. If you look at my extensions, I have 3 extensions here. Okay, the generic user ID tracer. This is the version 2.5. This is a tracer that actually extracts the user ID from the server and puts into a cookie. That one, if you go to generic user ID tracer, you can download the entire thing. You have the source code and everything. I just did the build, and here's the version 2.5 that you need to drop into your ext directory. The next extension you'll need is the BRTM cookie decorator. This is, again, there's explanation on that one what this is, and it's in here. BRTM cookie decorator. Basically, what this does, this is the one that actually extracts the transaction trace GUID and puts it into a cookie for the JavaScript running in the browser to collect. It also if you actually have servlet-headed decorator enabled, it's also able to extract like the server IP and the agent name and a whole bunch of other things. Okay, in here again, so you download this, go to the build, and BRTM Cookie Decorator 1.02, which is the one that we have here. 1.02. Now, the time threshold TTT filter, I don't have it, it's not on my GitHub yet, because it's not on my Eclipse. I'll add it on in the future, but I think, you know, this tracer, this extension has been around for years, so it's probably somewhere in there. And if not, this is all it does is actually automatically capture transaction trace. You can just do that manually, right? You can just launch the transaction trace session and just capture transaction tracer for both the ticket exchange, the Tomcat servers, and for the EP agent. Okay, that's all there is. Now, for the configuration, in the ticket exchange server, you'll have to add the PVD file, BRTM Cookie Decorator PVD, which again, it should be in here under resources. So there's the PVD that you need to add, and it's already configured, I believe, for exchange. Let me see. Oh, actually, this is generic. Okay, so this is going to work regardless. This is actually listening on servers, GSPs, and filters. So this is good. And the next thing you need to do is configure the user ID decorator. In that one, you would do this, right? You define your new tracer, okay, which I call the user ID and session ticket exchange decorator. This is going to be specific, okay, and actually it's going to, and then ticket exchange, we know where we keep the user ID, which is on the session, and there's an object called account bean, and then we call get account, the username from it. Okay, this is how we start. Again, all this is very application specific, but as soon as you understand where the user is storing the application, then you can use this generic tracer to actually extract the username, and it would do two things. It would decorate the agent transaction trace with the username, and it will also take the user name, user ID, and put into a cookie, so that the JavaScript running in the browser can make use of it and pass it down to the BRTM Metric Collector. Okay, those are the two things that you need. And this is just extra. This is just so that you can collect user ID, transaction trace GUID, in session from your application server. If you don't set those up, then nothing happens. You just don't have those particular info, but you're still going to collect all the browser and all the pages information. Okay, so now I told you guys how to do that. So let's go ahead and do the browser metric server collector. So what we're going to do in here, again, so I'm not sure how familiar are you with Node.js, but we're just going to follow the Node.js format, right? So here, what we're going to do is I'm going to create some directory, make the CHC, okay. So this is empty. And now I'm going to clone the project, okay. So I'm going to say get. Obviously, you need to have GitHub installed, right? The tool. So get, so copy, git clone, okay, and the name of the project. So we run it. downloads it, and there it is, right? So it goes into a directory called browser metric server collector, and there's all the information that you need. Now, once you have downloaded all the code, you can install it. So you do npm install, and this is just installing all the dependency packages for the BRTM Metric Collector. Okay, done. So now the next thing we need to do is to configure. We gotta let, I'll show you. We gotta let this BRTM Metric Collector, where's the EP agent, okay? And we also have to let it know where is the analytic platform, right? The IPs. So we're gonna go ahead and configure that. So we'll go into the config directory, config, and then I have three configurations here. The cluster itself, it tells you the number of workers that you may want to run. I'll run 2 by default. You can run as many as you want. Then the IP of your server where you're running this node. This will be the local. Obviously, this will be the local IP. But Node.js, if you don't specify the IP, it defaults to IP version 6. Whereas if I specify the IP when I launch my web server, I'll use IP4. So therefore I specify this is my local machine. Actually, that's not it. I think my local machine. In fact, let me check. Okay. It is, what is it? Here, it's 22. Okay, good. So that is correct. So that's all you would do. You will put your IP and you'll put it in here. The port, unless you want to change it, you leave it as this. Shutdown is just, to shutdown helps you to shut down the workers that you've launched. So for instance, this file gets read dynamically once you launch your Node.js. And so if you want to shut down the Node servers, you can come to this configuration file, set shutdown to true, and it will immediately shut down your nodes. Okay, so we configured this guy. Now let's go ahead and configure the EP agent. EP agent, you got to tell it, where's the host and where's the port. I'm running my EP agent locally, so this is my local host, my port, and then I have a bunch of configurations. If you want to send metrics to the EP agent, because you may not, right? You may just want to send metrics to Elasticsearch and skip all, APM altogether. So you can enable that. Then a couple of other things. Do you want to report function metrics? Right? So I'll say false. I don't want to report function metrics. So I didn't instrument any JavaScript function on my page. Then do you want to report HRs as backends? I'll leave that false. Usually we turn that on if it's a single application, single page architecture, right? Where you may want to see the Ajax calls show up in the team center. In this case, we don't really need that. And then different option for the transaction trace. Okay, if you want to enable transaction tracing, maybe you don't want to capture transaction traces. Maybe you do. If you want to sample, right? What is the rate that you want to sample? And if you're enabling transaction trace, what is the threshold, right? In this case, I'm saying 1 because I want to capture all transaction traces, 1 millisecond. Okay, good. So let me save this. And the last thing we'll do is the Elasticsearch configuration. The Elasticsearch, again, the host, okay? So in my case, it will be my local host, right? So let's say local host. The port is correct. Now the index, this is for the name of the index where we're going to store all the information. Uh, this is, you can type anything you want. Obviously it's got to sort of reflect the name of the app that you're collecting, so I'm calling it Ticket Exchange app. If you want to enable indexing, again, you may not want to enable it. That's the service here. Yeah, and then if you want to, this is if you want to log the document. What that is we also have the ability to actually save the JSON document of the page so that so that you have it on your file, because later on you might want to actually, instead of running your pages again, right? Since you have the JSON document, you can actually upload the document directly to Elasticsearch, right? So, for instance, let's say this is I thought about this for customers. So let's say we're at a customer side, and we're collecting, logging all the pages, and they're going against their Elasticsearch, but we may not have access to their Elasticsearch during the evening or whenever, the week after. But because we have logged all the JSON documents, then actually we can come, you can go to your laptop, to your local Elasticsearch, and bulk load those JSON documents, so that you can then play around and create visualization dashboards and so on and so forth. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, good. So we have configured our EP agent of Elasticsearch and the cluster. Okay, so we're good to go then. So let's go ahead and should be able to run this. So the first thing we need to do is, obviously, we need to create the mapping. Mapping is sort of like a schema, if you think in terms of relational database. So we need to create a schema so we can store the data against those tables, right? So the way you create the schema, I have a file called ES Elasticsearch mapping. So we'll do node ES mapping, and that's all. We'll run this. If you get, sometimes if you get an error, you just try running it again. As soon as you get, run successfully, you're good. You have created the index in your Elasticsearch, ticket exchange index in this case. Okay, so we're good. Control C. And now that we have our tables ready for data, we'll go ahead and launch the application. So that will be node server. And here you can see that we're connected to EP agent and to Elasticsearch. Okay. So we're ready to actually start testing this. So the other thing that I didn't mention is you also get in here, you get the browser agent. You get a modified APM BRTM script. Okay, this script is in here I try to specify the things you need to do, but basically the most important things is configuring the BRTM widely URL. This is where this URL is this, right? You're telling the JavaScript where to go send those metrics, right? Where's the host name and the port of the BRTM Metric Collector. So this is what this is, right? And here's an example of what that looks like, right? In my case, will be 26. the port. Actually, this would be incorrect, right? But if I look at mine, we say minus 22. But if we take a look, I sort of downloaded that already and changed it already. So let's do Control F. Let me search for a variable name, which is this. And there it is. And indeed, I have it already pointing to false 22. Okay, this is what you will have to do, change. And then the other thing that you will change is the name of your web app, right? In this particular case, the name of my web app, I have it configured as Ticket Exchange Web. Okay, you would name this, you know, you will reflect the name of your application that you're managing. So those are the only two things that you need to do on the APM BRTM JavaScript in order for it to connect to the BRTM Metric Collector. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring Ticket Exchange up. So the first thing that you should be able to see as soon as you hit your page is that the Node.js is starting to report metrics, right? It's telling you that it's actually publishing a metric, the EP agent, and it's also sending it to indexing the document, right? Indexing, storing the document into Elasticsearch. And it's also saying that it's saving the JSON message into the log file. This is what I was telling you. We're also saving the document in case we may need it later. Okay, so at this point, just go ahead and run some transactions on Ticket Exchange. You can exercise. Somehow you have to click on Ticket Exchange, the banner, before you hit the show weather. Eventually, okay. You can also put your mouse into the advertisement to get extra Ajax calls. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do a quick checkout. Checkout, continue. And sure. And then we'll sign out. Good. So we did a quick run a few transactions. So first of all, let's take a look at APM. Make sure that we're getting them. So if we go to EPH, and you'll notice that we have business segment. There's a new folder there. Under the business segment is is this URL. Okay. And under that URL is the different pages that we have. Okay, these are the different pages. Now, the one thing to note is the Ajax calls are being done under the index page. So within the index, we run the Ajax. So if I look for my index page, this is my home page. If I open that up, I should be able to see the different Ajax call that I made. It should not really okay. This is, by the way, is running jQuery 1.7. So we, This one we have support for jQuery 1.x and 2.x. The next thing we want to look is at the tracers. We want to make sure that we're collecting traces. So if you look at the traces, you can see that we are expand this a bit. There's the name, right? So this is an Ajax request collected. There was not a transaction trace on the server side collected, so this is why we only see the browser. Now, if we take a look at the ones that the servers handles, maybe this one, okay, we can see that in here we have the page. This is add item to cart. Okay, we can see that the page is broken down into two segments. Okay, how long the server took to service the page, the request, and how long did the browser took to render the page. And then we see that the server, right, based on from the browser point of view, took about 255 milliseconds. And now because we're correlating the transaction, we can go into the server and see that the server took about 227 milliseconds, which is about it. Okay, good. So that's working correctly. So now we have, we also have Teams and that should also show some of this information. So these are the different pages that we called and the different and the ticket exchange nodes. Okay, I think we're good. So now let's go ahead and now take a look at the Elasticsearch. If we go to Elasticsearch, so here we'll go ahead and go to Discover. Because right now I don't have any index, so it's saying I have to configure, and you can read on Kibana how it works. But as soon as you log into Kibana, it says which index, right? Which schema do you want to work against? And so the ones that our schema, our index name was called Ticket Exchange App, right? So we configured. So it is time-based, right? So we're recording it, so it discovered that there's a field called time executed, okay? And we'll just select it, say yes, and then we create. Now that we created our index, we'll go to our Discover, and we see our calls. Okay. I'm not going to go too much into the Kibana, the Elasticsearch in Kibana. I may do another video where I'll get more in detail on the searches and visualization, but sufficient just to show that the BRTM Metric Collector is actually sending data to both APM and Elasticsearch. And we can see it here. If I run a quick one, let's say I run four commands. I think I'll figure this auto refresh within, say, 2 seconds, and we can see that coming in right there. Okay. Again, for a quick test, if you want, we can go to the dashboard, visualization, where we create a quick table. new. So we want to split it by, we want to use terms, and we want to use URLs. We want to break down our matrix by URLs. And the different columns that we want, let's say we want the average of the page, how long the page took to render, that would be page load time. We'll add another column, that will say the sum of the invocation, page number of invocations. Let's say one more, let's say we had errors. We want to see if we got any errors. We'll do the sum of the pages number of errors. Okay, if I render, now we can see that we got for the last 15 minutes, different URLs that we hit with respective load times, number of invocations, number of errors. Okay, well that's about it. Hopefully makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. And like I said, I will try to follow up this one with another one where I'm going to show you guys how how to create the various dashboards and the different configurations in order to create meaningful analytics UI. That's all for now. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.